The Nuggets take on the Lakers for the last time of regular season. And what happened during that last game during the Warriors? Let's dive in. You're watching CS 105.1, where I talk about sports with good vibes. Let's get it.
I think he's going to be able to go. And Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, I don't think are going to be able to go. But we'll confirm that here shortly.
Woke up at like 6:30, straight to the airport at 7, to Minneapolis. Then I had an hour and a half layover, and then 4-hour flight here. Got here at like 3, and then an hour to chill, and then you're doing your whole pregame routine here at the gym, and that's after a double back-to-back with the G League. So it's an interesting 3 days.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome. I'm CS Chandler, here for another take of Nuggets basketball. So it's been a couple of days since I did a podcast, mainly because I was actually active out filming during last game, which was against the Warriors. I had an amazing opportunity that I will 100% give credit to Adam Mars and the DNVR podcast. Amazing working with you guys. Couldn't have asked for a better opportunity. That was an amazing night. So just to kind of recap, which I'm sure you probably all have recapped yourself over the game and gotten yourself up to speed and everything, but from a standpoint of actually being at the game, from a reporting standpoint, it's completely different. So I just wanted to kind of first take on this before I go into tonight's game on the Nuggets versus the Lakers. So with the last Monday's game, this past Monday, coming right off of one of the most embarrassing losses of the season against the last place Wizards, the Nuggets came in with a certain sense of wanting to reestablish themselves that they are the team. And right off the bat, Coach Malone had already kind of said that there was not going to be any Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, or Christian Brown. And I'm sure, like me, all of you Nuggets Nation was kind of freaking out a little bit. Like, oh, great, well, we're just going to throw this one away. But what we've seen consistently through the season is that teams tend to overlook the teams that don't have their main all-stars on there. And what one player they did not expect was going to ball out was Aaron Gordon. And that was definitely 100% a mistake on the Warriors' end. Because, yes, they were fully healthy, except for Brandon Podemski was not out or was not playing. They had Seth Curry there. They had Draymond Green. They had Jimmy Butler. They had Kuminga. They had Moses Moody and Buddy Hield. Like, they had their squad ready to go. And yet they all misdirected as soon as they saw that Nikola wasn't going to play, Jamal wasn't going to play, and Aaron Gordon and CB wasn't going to play. It's kind of similar to how the Nuggets responded to the Lakers not having Luka and LeBron on. However, the Nuggets were able to actually still close that deal. The Warriors, however, not once led that game. That's amazing. For a Nikola Jokic-less Nuggets to lead an entire game against one of the top defensive teams in the league for the past, I think it was like 12 games or so. Like, just think about that. Like, they had no Nikola Jokić and no Jamal Murray and no Christian Brown. Christian Brown has been phenomenal for the Nuggets defense lately and offense, really, on both ends. Jamal Murray is phenomenal. He doesn't get enough credit for his defense. He has been one of the top stealing Nuggets on the roster. And the fact that he's our main clutch person clutch player to have in the last 5 minutes of any game, like, you go to him, and to not have either of those guys, and then the top playmaking player of Nikola Jokić, and they still kind of took the ball and ran with it against one of the top defensive teams in the last 12 games. Like, you have to tip your hat to the Nuggets for that amazing game that they played. So, the Nuggets were wearing their white jerseys, if you don't know, already know, and the Warriors were in their blue and yellow jerseys. And just real quick from a reporting standpoint. So most of you probably have never been to a game as a reporter or as a producer or anything. If you have, you will understand that is a completely different experience. Like, you have, like, it kind of just already seems that everyone knows what needs to be done. And if it's your first time going, you really feel like the new kid who has no idea what's going on, and you're just trying to learn things on the fly. And so you have to really be aware of what's happening around in your surroundings. The first interview was the pregame interview against Coach Malone. And leading up to this, I was so anxious, everyone. Like, you do not know how anxious I was. Like, so anxious that I was losing sleep the last couple of days leading up to it, because I did not want to seem like a green interviewer. I didn't want to seem like an annoying interviewer. I didn't want to, tip out any kind of obvious indicators that this was my first go around and that I shouldn't be trusted with a camera talking to people. So there was a lot of overthinking that I was doing. And I took a lot of time to just basically hype myself up and understand that this was a chance that I was given, and there was no way that I was going to let this chance get away from me. If they thought that I was being too much, that's them. I'm not going to, just slack off and be the kind of timid person in the corner, making sure I don't ruffle any feathers, because if this is the last time that I have, then, you got to go all out. So I made sure that I was still very active where I could be, but I also read the room. That's one aspect that people don't think enough, is that they don't read the room. They just kind of feel like they need to make their presence known without reading the room, and that's when they become annoying to people, and people don't want them around them. And so I tried my hardest to read the room. If someone didn't want to be approached, I wasn't going to approach them. But to those that I felt were a little bit more welcoming, I approached myself. I got to meet Scott Hastings of the Altitude announcers. He is an amazing guy. I was I tried hard not to fanboy out, because he's one of my favorite announcers. I just really appreciate how unbiased him and Chris Marlowe are when they're watching a game. They will call the Nuggets out when the Nuggets are playing bad. They will, call the refs out if the refs are not being fair in officiating. They don't care. They call it the way they see it, and I love that aspect of them. A lot of other teams, they are so biased in favor of their home team, and I get it. Every home team announcing squad is going to be favoring their home team, but at the same time, you have to have a little unbiasedness for it. So I really appreciate that of them. I got to meet Tim McMahon of ESPN, who is an amazing guy as well. He was very approachable. He shook my hand, and we talked a little bit. We even talked a little bit outside of basketball. He's a great guy to get to know. I got to meet Kate Wingy as well from the Altitude. She's great, and so that first interview finally sat down. I was able to set my camera up. I hooked it into their soundboard, so I got the direct mic feed from the microphone that they were using for the interview. And the only thing is, I did not expect for Coach Malone to immediately walk in, sit down, and start going. I thought there would be some kind of okay, let's get the interview going or whatever. Nope. You got to be already ready for him to come in, sit down, and start filming. So as soon as he came in, he started already getting a question, and I had to quickly go and record. So the beginning of my pre-game interview is a little bit shaky because I was like trying so hard to get everything rolling, which was a good learning lesson because then in the post game, I already was set up to record right away before he even sat down. So something to, continue to learn, like you have to give yourself freedom, and we as society need to give each other freedom to make mistakes and to fail at times. And those failures aren't necessarily failures; they're learning lessons that make us better moving forward. So I took that as a learning lesson and got a lot better on the next interviews. And so I think I was like maybe like the third or fourth question of the pregame, and I was so nervous. Like I said before, I was very, very nervous. But then when it happened, it felt like a relief, just to finally get that out. And then I got a little bit more comfortable. And I'll show you here the question that I have for him. As we come to the end of the season, looking back at all the losses and the struggles that this team has had, how much of that would you contribute to overthinking? And what do you do to help them overcome that, the players?
Overthinking? I think we need more thinking. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. It's been an up and down year, but we're still in third place in the Western Conference with 14 games to go against a very difficult schedule. So we just have to find a way to stay together and try to bring the best version of ourselves each and every night. And when you lose a tough game, and you just got to stay together. I think that's the biggest challenge we have right now is no matter what happens, these last 14, let's try to get healthy, let's stay together, and if we can do that, we'll put ourselves in a good situation.
So as you can see, it was, I like that he said it was an interesting question because I feel like it was, a lot of times I think like players overthink the scenario, and that causes them to have bad inactions, or however you want to phrase it. Leading up to that, I wanted to ask a meaningful question and not something that we hear all the time, just getting repetitive. So I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper with that. And then I actually had a follow-up question, but they took the mic away from me before I could even say anything. So that, another learning lesson. I know that I'm just a beginner. I'm just the guppy inside that pond. And to be able to really get to know who I am first before they allow me to ask multiple questions in one interview. And so kind of diving further into the game itself. So the first quarter, Warriors controlled the tip. Off Butler miss. AG goes to the foul line and makes both for the first points of the game. AG takes it to the rim and dunks on post. Obviously, Nuggets caused a block, back-to-back turnovers that give Nuggets a 7-point lead and forces Kerr to call the first timeout of the game. And then out of the breaks, Steph obviously drills a three. It's very Steph Curry-esque. And then so the Nuggets actually won the first quarter. That was 29-22. Zeke also had some awesome minutes on there, drilling a three to go up by 2, followed by Michael Porter Jr. to take a 5-point lead with another 3. And then the Nuggets started the second quarter off with a turnover, and GB2 got a layup for the first points of that quarter. Vlatko turns the ball over several times. Luckily, the Warriors weren't able to follow up and convert that into points on the other end. Michael Porter Jr. Then passes it up to AG down the court for AG to get the jam. Hunter Tyson sinks a 3 to get the Nuggets first to 50. Peyton Watson gets a layup in transition to get the Nuggets up by 15. This is in the second quarter. It was a great quarter for the Nuggets. AG goes to the line, makes 2 of 2 to get the Nuggets back to 11-point lead after sloppy plays and turnovers, gets it down to 9. The Nuggets then go on top into the half, 62-50, winning the second quarter, 33-28. Third quarter, the Nuggets started the quarter off with a miss. Draymond mows Peyton Watson down. Like, he completely tackles him down, and then Peyton Watson gets the foul. That was a crazy play there. I don't know. This was the same thing that happened earlier on in the season with the Hornets and the Celtics, where Grant Williams comes, basically mows down Jason Tatum, and he got ejected from the game. However, this time around, Draymond does it, and it's called a foul on Peyton Watson. That was crazy. And then Butler gets the first bucket of the quarter with a bucket off the glass. Michael Porter Jr. Finally gets the Nuggets on the board with two free throws. AG banks 3 to get the Nuggets up to 13. Their lead up to 13. Nuggets still show signs of defense with great blocks and steals, and the Warriors chip the lead down to 9 as Vlatko sinks a 3 to get the Nuggets back to 12. Both teams tied that quarter. I think it was at 27 each. And then the fourth quarter, the Warriors started off with several scrappy plays. Butler going to the line and misses both buckets. Finally, Zeke gets the first points of the quarter with an assist by Brody. Pickett knocks down a 3. It was definitely an all-team win that night. Finally, AG stops a 10-0 run by the Warriors with the step back 2 because they were definitely showing life, and they got the lead down to, I think, 6 at one point. And Kerr takes a timeout to challenge an offensive foul on Curry, which is successful as Curry gets both free throws. It gets turned into a defensive foul. So he goes to the line and gets both free throws and chips the lead down to 7. Then Brody drills a 3 to get the lead back to 10. Curry sinks a 3 to get it back down to 7. And then the Nuggets took the ball and ran with it for a 5-0 run. And then it was a 12-point lead with like 20 seconds to go. And then the Nuggets just like stopped playing. They're like, okay, yeah, we're going to win this no matter what. So we're done playing. You guys can take shots if you want. And they literally let Moses Moody try to sink a 3, and he missed 2 chances, and then he finally gets another one and chips the lead down to 9. So it ended with a 9-point lead. It was 114 to 105. So a 9-point lead they win by. You get so many games where the game is still, that big, and yet both teams should still be playing. And at this point, they're just kind of like, yeah, we'll give it to you. And I kind of wish that they would have kept on playing, because it would have been nice to have won against the Warriors in double digits. But still, win's a win, and it was an awesome win, especially when you're down Nikola Jokić and Jamal Murray and Christian Brown again. That's just shows you grit, and that the Nuggets can play a good game without those players, especially when you have Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon is like, I don't think he gets enough credit for being glue to the Nuggets. He glues a lot of that together. He is one of the best defense players on the team. He is also one of the better offensive players on the team. And when he's not good on offense, he's playing amazing defense regardless of that. He's figuring out ways to contribute to the team where the team might be lacking some issues. So very great win. And it's just also great to see the Nuggets still continuing to dominate the Warriors within the last, I think, 8 to 9 games. So we'll see now if they can do it at the beginning of next month. They have one more matchup, which is on April 4th. So we'll see if they can continue that, and if Jokić will be playing, or and if Steph will be playing. After the game, Coach Kerr admitted that Steph is tired. He's very tired, and they needed to find him time to relax. So they actually relaxed him yesterday against the Bucks, and sure enough, then they won. And it's just kind of that more like underestimating your opponent. I think that kind of plays into that kind of mentality of when you rest your key player, it underestimates the other team underestimates you, because now you're down your player. So obviously you're not going to play as well, and then they get turned over. So it was a great win, and I'm very happy that the Nuggets got that win, especially after such a bad loss against the Warriors against the Wizards. And then I was able to ask some questions after the game. And so during that game, I think the best things that happened were AG's poster on post. That was an awesome dunk. And then there was several other plays. Just the fact that him, AG, and Russell Westbrook were completely running the show. They were running the court. And that just kind of showed that even though their top players were out, they still had a deep enough roster to be able to go into. And one thing that needs to be really highlighted here is that Spencer Jones had a phenomenal night being called from Michigan. He flew in that day to SF to play that night. And to be able to then go from playing the night before to then coming in a long trip. He had apparently a layover. I think it was in Minnesota. And then he came straight from there to SF, got geared up, and he had energy. He had great defense and a couple of blocks. He had a layup and actually several points that he contributed. And so a great, opening night or, opening game for him. And then you also had great production from PWat. If you haven't already, check out his post-game interview after the loss against the Wizards. You can tell he was not happy. And I loved that fire that he had from losing that game. He came back with intention of making a statement. And unfortunately for the Warriors, it had to be against them. And that's exactly what he did. He turned into Swatson. He had an amazing night as well. I mean, it was 100% a team effort. And so then going into that post-game interview, I was told that Malone interviews 10 minutes after the game ends. So even in the final seconds, when already I knew that who had won, I was kind of disconnected from the game because I was just cleaning up my stuff to try to head down to the interview room as soon as possible so I didn't miss anything. And so getting into there, finally, as I said, I was already recording before he even came in. And obviously you have a lot more people involved in the post game than you do in the pregame. So there was ESPN there was Altitude, there was NBA reporters. It was a fairly busy room. And they all got their questions out first. And I luckily was the last question of the night for Malone. And one of the big things that I don't know if it was necessarily brought out in the question. Well, I'll let you take a look here. This is what I said. You have the non-Jokić minutes. Now you have a non-Jokić game. Is there anything that you can take from that to build onto the games that Jokić does play on?
We still have 32 assists tonight, which is an amazing number when you don't have Nikola and Jamal out there. We have rebounded them by 14, which is the first time we've ever rebounded our opponent in quite a while. And I felt the game plan discipline, was where it needs to be. That's something we've been talking a lot lately about is we have to be a lot more disciplined in our approach and things that we do both offensively and defensively. And whether Nikola plays or doesn't play, you can play defense, you can rebound, you can be disciplined. And the guys that were able to play tonight, all 9 of them showed that. And hopefully we can get Nikola back, Jamal back, CB back as quickly as possible. But until they come back, that's opportunities for everybody else to go out there and just like I said, just go out there and compete. Outwork them for 48 minutes and see what happens. And tonight, once again, it went our way.
So as you can see, where I was kind of coming from is that we all know that the Nuggets suffer the most during those non-Jokić minutes. And so now you have a game where they win without Jokić. I know they had one other before in the early of the season against the Grizzlies. That was a great statement. They worked very hard for that. They also had Jamal Murray playing that time. And so they had other players. They were very undermanned in this one. And they just to see that Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. and Brody and PWat kind of led the squad and everyone helped out. And so was there something that you could take from a win like that without Jokić to then add to those non-Jokić minutes so that they're not so disastrous? And I think the main takeaway is that it really relies on the players to stay disciplined and have that consistency for defense, because you can always play defense with or without Jokić. You can play defense, and that is one thing that they need to continue to do. So that was a great insight. And then once that ended, I thought there were going to be other players that came on to the interview room, and it just kind of it stopped, and I was waiting, and then all of a sudden I see everyone start to leave, and I started questioning, okay, what's going on? apparently, and I didn't even hear this because it wasn't yelled loud enough, but apparently that was when it was ending, and then the players' interviews were going to be done in the locker room. So then I went into the locker room, and one thing that you don't understand is just how different of a world the locker room really is. But when you get in there and you see DeAndre Jordan and he's 7 foot tall standing up there and you're looking at him, like, these players are so much larger than you really think they are on TV. Like, you can see the height and everything and you can kind of guess, okay, yeah, they're tall or whatever. You don't really understand how tall the tall is. Like, I'm 5'10", 5'9", 5'10", and these guys are 6'10", 6'7", and that's like a foot taller than me. And you think, okay, yeah, a foot, like about like, that high. It's so much grander than what you would think a 6'10" would actually look like. And so the first interview that we had was with Spencer Jones. And before that even happened, we were waiting for the interview to start. And sure enough, like, they're in a locker room. They're very natural in that space. They've lived in a locker room pretty much their entire life, so they're very comfortable in there. Whereas when it's your first time or one of your first times, because I've been in locker rooms before myself in the times that I've been on sports and everything, but it's been a long time since then, and I definitely wasn't in a locker room with a camera before. So this was definitely one of my first times with a camera. And to stand there while these guys are getting naked while you're holding a camera, it was so uncomfortable for me specifically, just because I didn't want them to be thinking that, okay, are you secretly recording me or whatever? Like, I don't want any of that smoke, And so I was constantly like trying to find ways to like make it not look like I was recording them, so that I would like turn the camera so it was facing the ceiling or whatever. It's super awkward. And so you see Spencer Jones drop his pants, and all of a sudden I see his butt. And then we're interviewing him. I will not unsee that now whenever I see him running the court. And then turning around and seeing Peyton Watson, PWat. You see him compared to a lot of the other players, and you think that he's really scrawny. But when you see him in person, he is so much taller than you think he is. He made me feel like a hobbit. I'm just going to say that right now. He made me feel like a hobbit. And when we were recording him, at first, I was in a position of a comfortable recording position so I could record him. But that position was basically looking up at him, like up his nose and everything. So to make it a better frame, I had to hold the camera up high so it was more eye level. And so I was holding it like this, and my camera rig at this point is probably around 50 pounds. So I was holding the camera rig for about 5 to 8 minutes while we were interviewing him. And I loved the experience of interviewing Peyton Watson in a locker room. Any of those players, it was amazing. But at the same time, in my back of my head, I was like, okay, can we please stop asking him questions? My arms are hurting, and they was starting to shake and everything. I was trying my hardest to not make it affect the image. And I think I did a pretty good job. Here's the interview.
P, what was the mentality of that group that was available tonight when you guys stepped on the floor?
Just to go out there and be the tougher team. We knew that we weren't going to be able to trade buckets with this team, and we couldn't let Steph get hot. So I think it was just a concerted group effort for us all to come together and be the tougher team tonight. So I'm glad that we were able to execute and get some stops down the stretch and get a win.
Coach shouted out the three-point defense specifically. What did you guys do so well in that regard?
I definitely say it was, it had a lot to do with the coaches and their game plan. Big shout out to them, us switching everything up top and kind of forcing them to hit slips to the rim and drive, which is what they don't want to do. It definitely was a great plan, and I'm glad that, like I said, we were able to execute down the stretch and get some stops and secure a win.
What did you see from Russ as a facilitator tonight?
Oh, man, it's still surreal playing with him. After watching him for so many years before I got to the league. But I really have a new level of appreciation for his intensity and his work ethic and him just staying true to himself at all times. But you saw it out there tonight. He's a super valuable piece for our team, and he helped lead us to a win tonight. So super, super big hats off to Russ, and I love playing with him.
How would you describe the way that Aaron Gordon really embodied that next man up mentality?
Oh, AG is a soldier, bro. He's a soldier. He's had some ups and downs, this year with his health, but I'm glad that he's getting healthy, and when we need him, especially at this time in the season, we need him just to continue to gel with our guys, continue to bring what he brings to every game, which is toughness, play hard, and, he's always going to be someone you can rely on to help get a win. So I'm glad that he's back for us, and it was huge to have him tonight.
What do you feel like your 4 blocks did in this game?
I think it just, it put trust in my teammates that they could guard those guys like Steph, because it's hard to guard Steph way out there 35 feet from the rim if you don't got no back line for you. So I'm glad that they trusted in me out there, and they really went all out on the front end of defense, and then it just made my job easier on the back end. That's what I love to do. Those are the plays that I can make on a nightly basis. So I'm glad that I was able to make some tonight and help us win.
What can you say about the younger guys that stepped up for you guys tonight?
Oh, it was huge. It was huge. I'm glad that they went out there and they weren't scared and they accepted the challenge. This is a super veteran team that we played against tonight. They got a lot of guys that can play, a lot of guys that have been playing for a while. So it was definitely, called upon these younger guys to be more mature and attack these guys and go at them as if they're contemporaries, which they are. So I'm glad that they came in and they played their roles and they did everything that we needed for us to get a win.
Yeah, is that more special in a way when you given the fact that you guys are missing 3 of your best starting players and you're playing on the road here at Golden State?
Absolutely. You need all the contributions you could get. We knew that was going to be this game. So like Katie mentioned, having that next man up mentality was big for us. Some of us have started game, but for a guy like Hunter Tyson, this was his first career start, and he handled it with poise. He went out there, did his job, and he made some big plays for us. So that's all you can ask from those guys and myself, just to step up and, take on the responsibility.
How does it feel when you guys get a win like this on the road against a Golden State team that's playing so well, and you guys were several men down?
It means a lot, especially coming out off of last game. We knew we had to turn around, get a win, regardless of who was playing or who wasn't. This is going to be a big road trip for us, so we got to come out and, play with the same intensity as we do when we're at home. So we know that these are going to be some hard-fought road wins, and we all got to contribute. So I'm glad that we were able to get one tonight.
So you can see it didn't really shake too much. You can definitely see I get a little uncomfortable, and so I kind of move it up and down a little bit. But for the most part, it was fairly stable. I did get one note from the producer, and that was just to kind of back out a little bit more so that it's easier for them to take a thumbnail screenshot to create that thumbnail. And so that was a good note, and I'll definitely keep that in mind for the next go-around. Hopefully there is a next go-around. But yeah, it was crazy to see just how tall he is. And I wish that I would have asked Peyton Watson a question, because I didn't get that chance. And I didn't know exactly at that in the blink of an eye of what I actually really wanted to ask him. And so I kind of just let others ask him, and then I just kind of gave up that opportunity. If I ever get another chance to, I definitely will ask him a question. But then we were waiting for the next player, and that ended up being Aaron Gordon, Mr. Nugget. And that was probably the biggest honor that I could have had of the night. He has been one of my favorite players to watch and to follow, and especially with the fact that he's lost a brother, I've lost a sister. Like, there's a lot of connection there, I feel like, even though he may not feel it. From my standpoint, it's really nice to follow him, and I just really support him a lot. And it's been unfortunate that he's been out for most of the season with that calf strain. And every single time we're kind of given this false confidence that, okay, he's back, he's healthy, and then he goes down again with the same calf strain issues. And so a lot of my questioning, I was given the chance to ask him a question. And in that moment, I really wanted to ask him about the calf strain. I understand now in hindsight that maybe that might look like I'm trying to get some feedback for other teams to kind of target him and everything. And so he's not going to answer as truthfully as he might answer, but just like kind of more from a level of concern as a Nuggets fan and a fan of him behind his injury. And so this is what I asked him.
How's the calf feeling?
It's okay.
Are you able to pinpoint exactly what triggers it, or is it just kind of like over the course of a game it kind of starts?
It's healed now.
It's healed now?
Yeah.
Thanks, AG.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
And so you can see he's kind of a little bit more reserved of wanting to answer the question. And he definitely gives that kind of almost like false yes of, yeah, it's fine, it's healed and everything. but now he's still on the injury list of possibly not being able to play for tonight. And so, it's just interesting how like certain questions you don't know would be taboo are taboo conversation to have. So there's definitely a lot of learning lessons there too. And if I get a chance to ask him more questions, I will definitely learn from that and ask him better questions. Essentially, like now in hindsight, I wish I would have asked him to break down his poster on post, because that was just an awesome dunk and it needs to be talked about more. And I don't think it was talked enough about. So, but yeah, it was a fantastic night. I really appreciate the guys at DMVR, Adam, Mars, and the rest of the crew to welcome me and give me the opportunity to help them out with footage, and then also give me that first time experience of being in there as a video producer. So looking more forward to future gigs. And now let's get into tonight's game. So then tonight's game, the Nuggets were looking to close the season series against the Lakers with a win in LA. The injury report put out said that Jokić and Jamal Murray were both not going to play tonight. So the starting lineup was Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Russell Westbrook, Christian Brown, and PWat. The Nuggets were in their white jerseys. The Lakers were in their yellow jerseys. And the Lakers got that win, unfortunately, 120-108. So not a blowout. Not a blowout, Lakers fans. You did not blow us out. What happened in the game? Well, let's break that down. So first quarter, the Lakers won the tip, and Hayes opened the scoring with a dunk off an assist from Luka. The Lakers jumped out to an early 6-0 lead with back-to-back buckets from Luka, followed by a 3 from Reeves to extend the lead to 9. And it just kind of seemed right out of the gate, the Lakers were very red hot, and the Nuggets just kind of didn't seem so crazy about the game to begin with, really. Lakers went up to 12 and forcing Malone to call a timeout after Luka responded with a 3, after a response from a 3 from Aaron Gordon. So Michael Malone takes a timeout out of the break. Brody drilled a 3 to cut the deficit to 9, followed by a layup from PWat to bring it down to 7. And Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. knocked down back-to-back threes to make it a 3-point game. And this would be the lowest that the lead would be at any point in the game, because then from there on, the Lakers maintained a steady lead. So the Lakers pushed the lead up to 11, forcing Malone to burn another timeout. The struggles continued as the Lakers extended their advantage to 17 before Aaron Gordon finally stopped the bleeding with a 3 to get it back down to 16. Malone, frustrated with the defense lapses, used his third timeout of the first quarter. It was crazy to see him just burn these timeouts like he was burning money. Spencer Jones then attacked the rim, finishing with a reverse layup and drawing a foul for a 3-point play. However, the Lakers would still win the first 46-29. Crazy, ridiculous first quarter for both teams, really. Second quarter, the Nuggets opened with back-to-back turnovers, but the Lakers failed to capitalize until Vanderbilt threw down a dunk for the first points of the quarter. Connect knocked down a 3 to get the Lakers first to 50, followed by a bucket by Reeves in transition to push the lead up to 24. Every time the Nuggets found a bucket, the Lakers answered back with 2 buckets, making it impossible to close the gap. The lead stretched to 28 before the Nuggets finally put together consecutive buckets, forcing JJ Redick to take the first timeout of the Lakers of the game. This was at like 4:21 left in the second quarter, and he finally took the first timeout. He didn't use hardly any of his timeouts. It was crazy how outmatched tonight the Nuggets were. Out of the break, the Brody sparked some momentum with a steal and a layup, drawing another 3-point play, and then cutting the deficit to 21. And he followed that up with an offensive foul, drawing in the offensive foul on Gabe Vincent. And then moments later, he connected with CB on an alley-oop to finally get the Nuggets 50. The Nuggets continued to chip away, bringing the lead down to 16 before PWat came up with a steal and threw down an aggressive dunk to cut it to 14. Nuggets won the second, 30-27. Lakers were still on top, though, going into the half, 73-59. And then the third quarter started off, and this was where it just kind of really fell apart. So the Nuggets opened the third quarter with AG drawing a foul on Finney-Smith, side out of bounds, and off that, PWat then lost the ball, resulting in a turnover. On the other end, Finney-Smith was fouled and went to the line, making one of 2 buckets for the first points of the quarter. AG responded with a turnaround jumper for the Nuggets' first points of the quarter, followed up with a 3, but Luka immediately answered with a 3 of his own. PWat knocked down another 3 from deep, cutting the deficit to 13. But the Lakers countered with back-to-back buckets to push it back up to 17. The Nuggets struggled to keep the momentum going, and the Lakers extended their advantage to 20. Luka later went to the line, hitting one of 2 free throws to make the Lakers first to 100. And the Lakers won the third 32-18. So you had 2 monster quarters where the Lakers just crushed the Nuggets. That was the issue tonight. So the fourth quarter, however, was heavily favored for the Nuggets, and we actually got them to kind of sweat a little bit. So the Lakers opened the fourth quarter with a rolling layup from Reeves, pushing the lead to 30. The Nuggets struggled to find a bucket until Vlatko finally got them on the board with a skyhook. That sparked some momentum as Spencer Jones, who last game has still continued to provide amazing minutes on the floor. He throws down a dunk, followed by a 3 from Pickett. And then Jones and Pickett continued to lead the charge, cutting the deficit to 20. So they were at 30. They cut it down to 20. PJ Hall then added a skyhook to get the Nuggets finally to 100. And then Tyson followed up with an emphatic dunk to bring the lead down to 14. Pickett then knocked down another 3, making it an 11-point game. And PJ Hall drilled a 3 to cut it down to 8. At this point, you actually thought that maybe the Nuggets can actually do it because there was still there was 2 minutes left at this point, and it was an 8-point game, easily doable. But the Lakers would then go back up to a 12-point lead. So we actually got JJ Redick to start to think maybe he needs to put his starters back in. And though the Lakers would hold their ground, the Nuggets still won that fourth quarter 31-15. So we punched back hard with our G League. The Lakers lost their 30-point lead to a G League. So they got to feel bad about that. But the Lakers then ultimately got the win, still 120-108. So we'll get into stats after this. As a cinematographer, photographer, and now a podcaster, I do believe lighting is everything. And if you're serious about creating dynamic content, you need to check out Nanlite. They're all about precision and control. Whether it's soft, natural lighting or vibrant colors, Nanlite gives you full flexibility to set the mood for any scene. From compact LEDs to powerful softboxes, Nanlite has light solutions that fit every setup. It's ideal for photographers, like myself, videographers, like myself, and creators who want to pro-grade quality right out on their fingertips. With Nanlite, you're lighting like a pro every time. And we're back. All right, so stats here. We had Michael Porter Jr. played 27 minutes. He had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals. He was 5 for 10 from field, 1 for 5 from 3, 1 for 1 from free throws. He had 2 turnovers, 1 personal foul, was a minus 16. Kind of seems like the bad losses that we've had this season were when Michael Porter Jr. was not very good. He still made double-digit points, but still 12 is less than what he can do. He can definitely bring more than that. Peyton Watson had 25 minutes. In that 25 minutes, he also got 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He had 1 block, 5 for 18 from field, 1 for 2 from 3, 1 for 4 from free throws. The Nuggets were horrible at free throws tonight. That was a big issue. He had 3 turnovers, 2 personal fouls with a -12. Aaron Gordon, who played 30 minutes tonight, did not have as good of a game tonight as he did yesterday, but he still got a double-double. So he had 26 points, 11 rebounds, 1 steal. He was 9 for 14 from field, 5 for 9 from 3, 3 for 4 from free throws, 4 turnovers, 2 personal fouls with a -22. Christian Brown played 27 minutes, 10 points, so still maintaining that double-digit point, and then 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 4 for 16 from field, 0 for 1 from 3, 2 for 4 from free throws, 2 turnovers, 1 personal foul was a -15. Russell Westbrook played 28 minutes. He had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, 4 for 14 from field, 1 for 4 from 3, 3 for 5 from free throws, 3 turnovers, 2 personal fouls was a -15. And then within the bench-wise, just wanted to point out, as I was already saying, that Spencer Jones and Jalen Pickett had amazing minutes tonight. So Spencer Jones played 29 minutes tonight. That's a lot of minutes for a rookie and basically a two-way G Leaguer. He had 9 points tonight, 3 rebounds, 1 block. He was 4 for 8 from field, 0 for 3 from 3, but 1 for 1 from free throws. He had 1 turnover, 3 personal fouls. He was a -7, but his defense has been awesome to watch. And it's exactly what the Nuggets need. They need that spark to give them some kind of drive for the defensive plays. Jalen Pickett played 19 minutes tonight. He had 14 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. He was 5 for 9 from field, 4 for 6 from 3. He had the best percentage of 3 out of any of the Nuggets tonight. He had 0 turnovers, 1 personal foul was a +3. Him, Tyson, and PJ Hall were the only pluses on the roster tonight. You had Vlatko, who was a 0, but other than that, awesome minutes from the G League. They showed up, and just when everyone thought that the Nuggets were down and they were going to get blown out and everything, and that we'll just wave the white flag, they almost came back and made us a contender in this game, but obviously they still had too much control over the game, so to really compete. Overall stats, we had 45 rebounds to their 38. We had 25 assists to their 25, so we tied in assists. We also out-rebounded them. We had 8 steals to their 13. We had 4 blocks to their 3. We shot 47% from field. They shot 50%. We shot 33% from 3. They shot 42. We shot 61% from free throws. They shot 71%. We had 18 turnovers, and they had 13. We had 17 personal fouls. They also had 17. So the stats actually show us that we were more equal than anything, but it was really just the fact that they got off on a great start. The Nuggets still need to get on those better starts. They have been really struggling to start well, and last game they had 22 turnovers and still won. Tonight, the luck wasn't with them. As Malone said in his interview, the luck of the Irish. Well, apparently that luck ran out today, and they didn't get the same kind of game that they were expecting from Monday tonight. So we'll get into big takeaways after this. Hey everyone, let's talk sound quality. Imagine having pro-level audio that's easy to set up, flexible, and sounds incredible. That's the Rode PodMic USB. It's got both USB and XLR connections, so whether you're recording solo at home or in a full studio setup, you're covered. And get this, the built-in DSP effects let you adjust the sound with 0 lag. You get that deep, smooth broadcast tone right out of the box. It's versatile, powerful, and basically makes your voice sound like pure gold. And we're back. All right, so my big takeaway here is that the Nuggets didn't care about this game. Their priority was to rest Jokić and Murray, their 2 best players. Had they cared more about this game, they would have actually played Jamal and Jokić and rested them against the Portland on Friday. But they obviously cared more about resting them than winning this game, and were hoping the same team that won against the Warriors on Monday was going to show up during this game. And that's something I noticed when I was in the interview rooms talking to people, that there is so much more strategy involved in playing the season than just aiming for the top seed. They think more about matchups than they do about top seeds. Malone seemed very comfortable with being a third seed, knowing that the likelihood of getting the Timberwolves in the first round, if they get the second seed, was not really something that they really want to come across. So I know that there's a lot to get advantage of for the second seed, or, getting like home field advantage. If the Timberwolves, take out whoever's in the second seed, now all of a sudden that home field advantage is still in your court. I mean, the Lakers still have a very difficult path towards the end of the season here. So the fact that they are now in the third seed and we're in the fourth seed, that there's going to change. It's so tight right now, and there's a lot more to come from these games ahead. That once you get Jamal and Jokić back into the lineup, things are going to change for the better, I believe, for the Nuggets. So what did this loss do for the Nuggets? So like I said, it made them now the fourth seed. Then the Lakers are now the third seed. We dropped to 44-26. The Lakers are 43-25. We're still tied, though, because we're both 13.5 games behind. So we're tied. But they now get the advantage just because they have won more games in the division than we have. So that's where the tiebreaker actually now goes to them. Had we won tonight, then we would have definitely secured the tiebreaker. But we gave that up in favor of resting our two main key stars. So the Houston also won tonight, so they're gaining more and more of a padding, but it's still, they're still a game ahead. They lose one, we win one, we're back in second seed. So it's so very, very close here. And then Memphis lost tonight as well, so we still maintain a game ahead of them. And so now it's really just battling between the Lakers and Houston for that second seed. And so the next game is going to be against Portland on Friday, and then on Sunday we go over to Houston to face the Rockets, and that's the first game of a back-to-back, so we'll be there, Houston, and then we come back home to face the Bulls on Monday. So it's a very jam-packed week ahead. Hopefully they can get the wins that they need to where they need to get them. The should-win games should be won, and though this season has really taught us that the should-win games are still up in question. We should have won against the Wizards. So should we win against the Bulls? Yes, we should, but will we? That's left to be seen. So we don't really know, And like I said, they seem more understanding of just how competitive the league is right now. You have basically 2 through basically 2 through 8. Every single seed is just basically separated by one game. So if you lose a couple, you could be down in the 8th spot. If you if you win a couple, then you could jump up to the top spots. It's so close. So, and that's kind of how this entire season has really been. So the fact that we're hanging around that 3rd, 4th seed or whatever isn't bad. It's not a bad thing for Nuggets. And as long as they get the right matchups in the postseason, we should be fine. As long as we're healthy. And that's really the key, is just to be as healthy as possible heading into the playoffs. That was one of the big takeaways that Malone had last season. And I think now he's been kind of reminded about that, because he hasn't really rested Jokić. Jokić hasn't gotten a lot of rest. He rested when his kid was born. He rested when he got sick, and then once for the elbow. Now he's getting some rest for his elbows again, and hopefully this is enough rest that when he comes back, we'll go on a tear and a good winning streak to kind of close out the season. So that's pretty much all I got for this episode. I know it's been a long one, so thank you for sticking with me. If you stuck to the end here, I really appreciate it. If you liked this episode, please give it a like and subscribe. Share it out to your friends and family. And you've been listening to CS 105.1, where I talk about sports with good vibes. We'll catch you later.